Hey guys, HuShang here. Welcome to another HuShang tutorials video. In this guide, we're going to be taking a look at one of the most standard Terran vs Protoss openings, the mine drop into 3 racks. So this build's going to start out with a 14 depot, and we're going to be going for a racks first. And this build is, it's quite aggressive, but it's also very safe. It's very versatile, and so it's one of the best builds you want to be learning if you're a beginner.
Additional supply depots required.
So we'll grab that racks here on 16. Again, just like I've been doing in the past, guys, I'm going to be leaving a build order in the descriptions. If you want to check that out and follow along, feel free. After the racks, we're going to be grabbing our gas right away. This was almost immediately after the barracks, and also on 16. So make sure you don't have an SCV, an additional SCV queued up. So one's fine, but don't have 2 queued up for the gas. Okay, on 17, we're going to be scouting. So when your supply is 17, you can change your rally point to your opponent's base. Let me go back a second and show you. Okay, so right here on 17 supply, you're going to change your rally point to your opponent's base. And this is going to be your scout. And then you're going to continue rallying the command center maybe over here. And the reason you're doing this is because Protoss's scout timing after a gateway is about 120. So you'll notice here at about 116, our SCV is coming off the line. If there was a probe here scouting, then this guy would be the one dealing with that. Okay, so you have a guy to deal with that scout, and if there is no scout, it's very likely a proxy. So what you're going to do is send this guy around maybe this area and just check for some sort of max packs or proxy racks, something like, not proxy racks, proxy gate, something like that. It doesn't necessarily like have to mean he's proxying, but in my experience, it's like 100%. Okay. When your racks finishes up, you're going to go Reaper and Orbital Command at the same time. Oh, looks like I queued up an SCV here. I'm going to cancel it, make the Orbital. And then the next thing you're going to do is a 20 Command Center. This Command Center is going to go down slightly before you would see if it's a cheese. So, but usually you can keep this CC anyways, it's not a huge deal. But okay, so we see that he's expanding. This is quite fast for a normal ladder game actually, but you'll come in here and try to see if the Nexus is first or if the Cyber is first. So in this case, the AI is getting the Nexus first and then the Cyber. And so this is going to tell you later on what time you want to get your bunker. So you want to be paying attention to that. And I'll talk about, you know, when exactly in a sec. But first, let's grab our CC. At this point, your Reaper is almost done, so if the probe is harassing you, it's probably low on shields from the SCV attacking it, and so you have some additional time to just pull your SCV back up here. This guy should have full health, and so if the probe starts attacking this SCV, he's going to die to the Reaper. So you're totally fine with that, which is why you can pull this SCV back right now, and then you can make your depot. So your depot's on 20 supply. This scouting SCV can come back. What you want to do with this guy, after you see whether it's Cyber first or Nexus first, is identify where the pylons are. Because if you know where these pylons are, you know where it's possible to put tech. So I mean, in this AI's game, you can put the tech, you know, somewhere in here, right? And so that's helpful later on when you want to Reaper scout, and you can just go directly to this area, maybe jump off the cliff and just run straight over here. After you've kind of identified that, you can leave. Maybe an additional GM tip. If there's no pylon here, it's really strong to open Hellions. I don't think I have a Hellion guide yet, but you can open Hellions against someone who doesn't have a pylon here, and that can be incredibly hard for them to deal with. Okay, Reaper's going out. Behind the Reaper, we got a Marine. Let me go back a sec again. So we got this Reaper coming out. And then immediately behind that, we're going to, the Orbital just finished, we're going to SCV Mule, and then we're going to make a Marine. And this Marine is basically to stop any sort of annoying probe harassment after the Reaper's left. You don't have to send out the Reaper, you can leave it here for that probe, but this Marine can just come down here, protect the SCV, and then also have something in the bunker while your Reaper is out scouting. But we'll get there in just a sec. Let's throw down the factory at 100 gas or 23 supply. And then here's where you need to make a choice. So based on the info you got earlier, you might throw down a bunker here, or you might go gas first. So obviously, the more aggressive option from Protoss would be cyber first. So if they go cyber first, then you're gonna go bunker right after the depot. Like this SCV can make the bunker. And if they went Nexus first and then cyber, so the opposite of what this AI did, or yeah, if they went, sorry, what the AI did, if they went Nexus first and then cyber, just like this AI, then you can go gas and then bunker. So you can basically delay the bunker a bit. And this is going to make your build order flow a little bit better. But of course, if they're doing something aggressive, you need to make some sacrifices to the build so that you stay safe. So that's how you'll decide when to get that. Here's our gas. So I'm currently doing the more greedy version, you could say. I'm delaying the bunker because the AI is going for a Nexus before the cyber. Alright, Marine comes out, we start a reactor. This is going to be for some Marines in a little bit. We're also going to start that bunker. So in both cases, you do have to get a bunker. It's not safe to not get the bunker unless you continue to make Marines and you open up with like a different build. So if you opened up with Cyclone or something, then you might be able to skip this bunker or a tank. But since we're opening up with Mine Drop and we're going to try to be pretty greedy with how many Marines we make, we're going to cut some corners here and just get the bunker to do that. Okay, gas finishes up. You can fill it right away. It's not like the TVZ build order where you just rally in. This one we just fill up immediately. When the CC finishes, you're going to make an orbital command. And when the factory finishes, you're going to start your starport and mines right away. You could go Marine first, I suppose, which maybe is a little safer actually. But here I'm starting up the mines, and then I'm going to add on the Marines. You're just going to rally them straight to the bunker. Maybe I should note here, if Protoss does open Adept, they might shade behind your mineral line. So maybe what I did here is a slight mistake if I see Adept. Although if they don't open Adept, this is fine. You can see my mule is at the natural. So if they open up Adept, you want a mule in the main, and you want to move these SCV just up here for a second until you have 3 Marines, and then once you have 3 Marines, you can chase the Adept away. So just temporarily pull your SCV. It's not really a big deal at all, actually. So don't feel like you have to protect these SCV with your 1 Marine. Things are just gonna get super chaotic. So just pull them away, shoot the Marine away once you have, shoot the Adept away once you have 3 Marines, and then go back to mining. Just taking a sip of my coffee. Okay, so next up, we're gonna make some more mines. We're gonna try to build up to 3 mines. Actually, let me note this as well. So this Reaper's coming in here. It doesn't actually need to be checking right now, to be honest, but you want to see the timing of the 3rd Nexus. In fact, I think this is a really big problem in Diamond and maybe even Master level TVP, is Terrans are not scouting for the 3rd base. And if you're not scouting for the 3rd base, you have some gigantic problems later in the game. Like if Protoss is doing some sort of all-in, and you're, getting your 3 racks and eBay upgrades later on we're going to do, and they're just, YOLOing with charge lots, then you really shouldn't be moving out. So it's super important to figure out if he's expanded, right? If he's expanded, suddenly there's a lot of room for us to pressure. There's a lot of room for us to, move out onto the map and try to attack the Protoss, trade, take good engagements, etc. But if they're on 2 bases and maybe they have no gases here and they're all inning, then we need to play super careful. So just keep that in mind, and I'll show you the timing later. It's not quite time for Protoss to take that third. So we're starting up another mine. I'm going to queue up one Marine just to fill this bunker perfectly. I mean, it's slightly more efficient. You can just queue up 2 if you want. And then here's a very common depot that people miss. So you want to be very careful that you hit this one. So maybe just remember, after the medevac starts, you're going to throw down a depot. Okay. This is our last mine coming up here in a second. And then we're going to start the transition phase. So if you're learning this build, what you want to do is break it up into 2 phases. So the first phase is going to be once this medevac mine finishes, and that's, you know, your mine drop phase. So you want to learn that first, and then you want to learn the transition, which we'll be going through today as well. But just breaking it up like that is going to make it easier for your brain to learn. Okay, one more depot. We're just going to be queuing these up constantly. So as soon as this one's almost done, queue up another one. Don't miss any of these depots. In fact, this should be one of your main priorities, just not missing these depots. Because if you have to if you have to supply depot drop, or if you have to like double depot, you're going to really throw off this build. And this is a major problem for Terran specifically because they need consistent production. So you got to be really aware that you're not missing these depots. Okay, 2 more racks, maybe 350 or 4 minutes. Kind of as these units are almost finished up, you're going to start your transition, so you throw down the 2 more racks. Notice we haven't taken any gas here. We only have 4 Marines, so we're really saving a lot of minerals to get these on time. So keep that in mind. All the mines in the medevacs, and then boom, we're off to the transition. So we've got 2 tech labs coming down, one on the starport, one on the factory, and then we're going to start queuing Marines. And I think this is a part that people miss actually, is they throw on their eBay too fast, and so you miss out on like 6 Marines that you would otherwise have in the push, and that's a huge part of your army. So right here, we want to make sure we don't take this gas too fast, and we can make some more Marines because of that. So mine drop boosts out. I'm not actually going to focus on the mine drop too much. I think there's some tutorials on that already. Like if you look up Minute Micro on YouTube, you should be able to find printf's tutorials on how to micro this if you're interested. But so we'll just focus here on the build. So we're starting up these Marines. We're not rushing the E-Bear or the gas. I'll give you 2 triggers to memorize the eBay gas timing. Another depot right away. When the starport and the factory are finished making tech labs, you're going to swap them both to reactors. So the starport we'll just put over here, factory over here. This factory could become a tech lab if you want to make tanks, which might be good against Colossus or Disruptors, but generally you're probably playing more against Charged Archon styles. So going reactor is a little stronger, but if you want to add in that additional kind of choice, you can try to base it off of Protoss's third timing, and you could also do a scan maybe here or in the main and try to figure out what kind of composition they're going for. Like there will be a bunch of clues. So if Protoss is going for charge lots, they'll only have 3 gas. And so if you scan here and you see both gases taken, then it's more likely to be Colossus. Whereas if you scan and there's only 1 gas, then of course that would tell you that they're most likely going for the charge lot double forward style. And then another cue is their third timing. So their third should go down around 4:30 if they're playing a charge lot double forward style or something similar. And it'll go down much later, maybe like 5 or 5:30 if they're playing like a 2-base Colossus style or 2-base heavy tech style. Maybe Fast Storm is also possible. So based on these 2 things, you can get a lot of info. And then you also might know their tech from earlier. So if you saw them open Robo, excuse me, if you saw them open Robo, then it's more likely they're going to be going into Colossus. Or if you do your mine drop and you can fly through here. You can probably just pick up their exact tech structure. You can probably see their Robo Bay or see their Templar archives, see their gas count, etc. So all these little clues are going to add up. So try to get as much info as you can, basically, and you should have a really good idea of where they're going. And then you can decide if you want to get the tanks with the tech lab on the factory or the mines with the reactor. And again, the tanks are much better against the Colossus Disruptor styles, and the mines are much better against the Charge Lot styles. Okay, a lot of info. Let's keep on with the build though. So we're getting close to 430. This is one trigger you could use for your eBay timing. Another one is that you're getting pretty close to full mineral saturation. We're at about 13 SCV here. And I like to have both triggers because if you start the game awkwardly, like if Protoss proxies you, maybe they put a gate here or something, then you're not super thrown off by the game timer being like a minute later once you get to this point. So that's why I like to have the SCV trigger as well as the game timer trigger. But since nothing weird has happened, since it's the AI, it's going to be 430. And then you're going to take these guys together. So eBay plus third gas. Also, I think I skipped the last depot, but we have just been making these consistently, one after the other. So we never missed a single depot. It's just, as soon as this one's done, boom, another one. Then as soon as that one's done, another one. All the way up until we get these 3 racks set up. So reactor. Move these barracks over, and then we're going to start up our upgrades. You can change the order a little bit depending on what you're playing against. So here I'm going to go stim concussive. So this would be the way I would do it if I was playing against like a Bling Stalker style, or some style where they had stalkers out here, because the faster I get Blink, the easier it is to micro against those. So I'm going to go concussive here first, but then we're going to start up combat immediately after this. Okay. So I start up some Marauders here. I actually think these should be Marines first and then do the Marauders next, just because we're a little bit gas shy. So if you want, you can make that small adjustment, but it still ends up pretty well, this replay. eBay is finishing up. We're going to get +1 attack. And also our starport and our factory are finishing up. In my opinion, you want to prioritize the factory units over the starport units. So we'll see how that looks. Another depot. We're going to grab our gas once this is saturated at 16 out of 16. So I should be throwing that down in just a second. Got our mines coming in. Again, I'm prioritizing these over the medevacs, but we should see the medevacs start up soon as well. There we go with the gas. Okay, so here I've started up the 2 depots. So this is when you're going to transition over from just 1 depot at a time to 2 depot at a time. In fact, you could even do it like slightly earlier if you want. The idea is that we transition from 111 production over to 311 production. So since we have more production, obviously we need more supply at a time. So if you want to do that just slightly before these buildings are ready to go, then it'll work out very nice where you never get supply blocked. And the same idea applies once you get more production. So once you get up to maybe 5 racks, then you might be going 3 depots at a time. So it's going to change depending on your production. Okay. I'm actually curious if I forget combat this game. I might actually. I think this is because I did the Marauders first. So if you go Marines first, you should have a little more gas to start this up. But no big deal. Let's fast forward a little bit. I'm basically just making units here. And I'm going to move out at about 6 minutes, or when the medevacs are maybe halfway to 3/4 done. And that way you can kind of line up your attack well. And then there's a couple ways you could transition from here. You could go all in. You could just add 2 more racks and just continue to attack Protoss until you kill them. But you could also just take a 3rd base here, and this is the more standard. So we'll throw this down as we attack. And if you want to benchmark, I have 16 Marines, 4 Marauders, and 4 Mines, I believe. Where's the other one? Must be hidden in here. 4 Mines. Okay, and you should hit it about 6:45. Maybe you can get here at 6:30 if you're really sharp with your timing. But 6:45 is the time I hit in this replay. If you want, you can also put the CC on the high ground if you're worried about some sort of counterattack. But it's actually pretty unlikely that Protoss does that because it's pretty hard for them to hold this push. So they kind of need all the units they have in order to defend. And yeah, I think this is a good place to end. You got a really strong timing attack. Protoss probably doesn't have both charge and blink at this point. It's probably just before it's finished up. So this is a pretty hard timing for Protoss to hold. It's also when their gates are just finishing up as well. So I mean, if you hit right here, they just barely don't have enough to defend, and you can scale, or not scale, but trade efficiently and whittle the Protoss army down before it gets too big. Alright, cool. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the guide. I'm definitely missing a couple parts here, but we'll cover them in some future tutorials. So thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.